Hi everyone, my name's Brandy with On a Whim by Bee. Thank you for joining me today as we make this Shamrock wreath. I have several supplies. This video is made from a recording that I've then used a voiceover to explain everything for you. So I have my frame with my pipe cleaner tied at pipe cleaner length apart. We have 10 on the outer and 8 on the inner circle. I have a 10-inch mesh that I have cut at 24 inches. I will be rolling it 3 times. I clip it and then I roll it 3 times at the other end, walking my fingers to join the 2 ends together. There are many methods of how to make the cruffle. This is how I'm making this one. We're going to go ahead and tie this with my pipe cleaner around my wreath. I am starting on the inner circle, the first one. I am placing horizontal, if you will notice that. I bring the pipe cleaner up, I twist tight 3 times, making sure it is tight so that the mesh does not slip out later on. Again, rolling each end 3 times. This is the Shamrock sign we will be using for this wreath. I like to clip. I use a little clip with a magnet in it, making sure it has a little weight that holds it down. You make kind of a bow. Now this one, when I place it, it will be the opposite direction of the one before it. So instead of horizontal, we're placing vertically. Again, making sure I'm tying this snug. I will be doing this all around the inner circle. I'm thankful for you all joining me today. I hope you're able to follow along. At any time, you can pause the recording and restart it to continue doing, as I will be speeding up the process momentarily as we go around the wreath. Again, the inner circle has 8 pipe cleaners tied. And I place them on the inner circle. They're a little less than my pipe cleaner. I overlap the pipe cleaner about an inch. I will later on show a video of how I do my placement on these frames. That will come. Okay, now we're on to the outer circle. We're going to place them all vertically around the outer part of my frame. If you're enjoying this and feel like you can learn more from me, please follow. As soon as I have enough followers, I will be making some live videos on YouTube. However, you can catch me on TikTok or Facebook. And that would be On a Whim by Bee, or Brandy with On a Whim by Bee on TikTok. Now I'm making my hanger, so I go ahead and loop a pipe cleaner, leaving the 2 ends, and then I bring them up through my frame where I would like my hanger to be. Twisting the zip ties together and making a nice hanger. Make sure it's attached well and isn't something that can easily come undone, as we don't want these to fall off the door or wall. Figuring out, placement of my sign. This sign did come from the Dollar Tree. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will get to them as soon as I can. I also sell my finished wreaths on Etsy.com. It would be On a Whim by Brandy.etsy.com. We figured out the ribbons that I want to use, so I'm going to go ahead and make my bow now. You can kind of figure out how long you want your tails to be and how big you want your bow to be. I'm doing this first tail. It is at 10 inches. We're going to go ahead and use my Easy Bow Maker to make this. This helps with holding your bows as you figure things out. It is just really easy to kind of figure out the look that I want for my bows as I'm doing this. So the first tail is 10 inches. My first loop is at 6 inches. This first ribbon pattern, we are going to just do a loop on either side. I'm thinking I want a tail up on top. Let's take our second ribbon. These two ribbons are 2.5 inches. Do the same tail length. And these loops I will do. Usually it's about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch in. This one I went to then a 5-inch loop. I don't want a real big bow on this one. With this, I believe I will do 2 loops on either side. And instead of going up, I think I will carry this tail down. But this is where I was saying this holds your bow in place and gives you a feel for what it's going to look like as you design your bow. I'm liking the contrast with the two patterns. And this second tail, I'm thinking we're going to do at 6 inches. I think this top one we will also cut at 6 inches. Placing it up against my wreath, making sure I like the look, that the size is what I wanted. We're coming in with the 1.5 inch ribbon. We're going to go in another inch, so to the 4. So, one loop on either side at 4 inches. Sometimes you have to measure because it just doesn't look right. You'd hate to have a lopsided bow. This tail I will also place at the bottom at 6 inches. Let's come in with our final ribbon. It is 1.5 inches. As you can tell, these ribbons are a little bit stiff with their wire. This is an ideal ribbon to do bows with. Not overly stiff, but positionable, and it holds its loops and the shape that you want. Okay, with this one, I've done 3-inch loops, and then we're going to go ahead and do one smaller loop right in the center. So with this ribbon, there is a total of 3 loops, 2 of them at 3 inches and 1 at probably 2 inches, well, maybe 1.5 inches. Cut the second tail at 6 inches. And it's going to go up. So I have the 2 stripes, one horizontal, one vertical on the top. Get everything, make sure I'm liking that. We're going to go ahead and get a pipe cleaner and a zip tie. I use the zip tie to secure my bow in the center. Be very careful. I lift it up just a little bit, bringing that zip tie around, securing it just a little. Not tight yet, as we want to put that pipe cleaner. So as I lift it out, I'm holding it together with my thumb and fingers on the other side. We place our pipe cleaner in it, and then we want to make sure the zip tie is positioned around the crease that is made from the Easy Bow Maker. Then pull tight, make sure it is really snug so no loops come loose. I'm going to go ahead and fluff our bow now. This is the most important thing. Fluffing your bow, getting the look and position of the loops and the tails. Sometimes bows can be a little challenging, so just practice and work with it a little bit. Sometimes it does take a little fluffing and working to get the bow to form the look that you want. This one is a pretty easy one to obtain. I'm liking that. Notice I just have the long tails on that one side. So now, before I hook anything, I want to look at the position, decide what else my wreath is going to need. I don't want to position anything until I'm sure. My sign does have 2 little holes poked in the top of it. I will, at a later time, put in some small ribbon and make bows, just to add a little bit to it. So with my sign, I have attached some 3M stickies that have holes in it that I can feed my pipe cleaner through, which makes it really easy to attach the sign without poking more holes in it. I am liking how things are going to look with this. although I do think it needs a little bit more. So I'm not going to attach everything just yet. We're going to go ahead, and I have cut some 10 by 10 inch green mesh. So a solid mesh that I will be adding to the outer layer. In just a moment, you will see that. We're also going to attach some ribbon tails. Sometimes you don't know the full look you want until you start getting things ready. It is always a work in progress. Sometimes even when you think it's done and change your mind. So this ribbon tail is 13 inches. I want to make sure that is the right length that I'm looking for, and it is. So we're going to go ahead and get my little 13-inch board. And these boards make it very easy to attach. There's many different places you can find these. These ones particularly I found on Amazon. Now sometimes when I'm talking and designing, I don't cut things the appropriate size. I mean, not the size, but the right number. Pardon me. So with this, I fold and I try to count, but I didn't count appropriately. I need 9 of each because I will do every other ribbon. So then after I've cut them, I ducktail my tails. So both ends I've ducktailed. And I'm going to do this with each ribbon. So 2 of the 2.5 inch, and then the 2 1.5 inch. They will all have ducktails on either side. This is the look I'm going for. You can also change it up and do a diagonal. It's completely up to you for the look that you're desiring with these tails. But this does make it an easy way to cut the lengths the desired amount a lot quicker than going one by one. So I've seen these boards made out of cardboard. So, you definitely don't need to spend the money to do this at first. There are several ways of doing this. Speeding things up a little bit again. And you can place as many as you want to ducktail. I do 2 to 3 at a time. For me, that works. If I get too many, I end up with crooked cuts. So there is the mesh that I cut 10 inches. It's a 10-inch mesh, cut it 10 inches. And all we're going to do is roll it into a tube and place it along the bottom of my wreath. And it's the pipe cleaner that holds it secure. I like to make my tubes, just rolling them in, attaching them twisting the zip tie. Make sure it's tight. Then I add my ribbon. This is my personal preference in how to do this. But as I'm doing this, as you can see, I decide to change the position of the tube. I want it to go up and down. I'll show you what this looks like. Make sure you're liking the look, and I am. Keeping those two stripes together, I think just adds a little bit of fun and play. So then I'm going to take my other two ribbons and sometimes when I'm talking at the same time I'm designing, I forget what I'm doing. So normally, yes, you would start with the tube first, then do the ribbon. Once you get your pattern and your groove, it goes rather quickly. Now with this green tube mesh that I've made, I am only going to go around the bottom layer. I don't want to do the inner circle with it. I just want to add that little touch of green. I make sure I like those, and now we'll just finish doing the bottom layer like this. So with your pipe cleaner, once I get everything in like I like it, I like to make sure I'm twisting 3 to 5 more times. So it's a total of 6 twists to 8 twists. Then I cut it and I tuck the pipe cleaner down under my ribbon and into my mesh. I don't want the metal to poke anybody, so that's how I do that. Thank you again for joining us today. I really appreciate it. My name's Brandy with On a Whim by Bee. If you're enjoying this, please follow. This will help me to be able to go live on YouTube, where I can design and you can ask questions while I'm designing. Sometimes I wait to cut all my pipe cleaners until the very end, just to make sure it's a little bit easier if I want to change something. If I'm pretty comfortable and sure about a look, I'll cut them as soon as I get everything tied in. See how I alternate the ribbon. Speeding up again. Feel free to pause while you do your own wreath. If you don't feel that you can make this by yourself and want to purchase something like this, you can check out my wreaths at my Etsy shop. On a Whim by Brandy.etsy.com. Let's go ahead and attach that sign. Don't push it down too much, as that flattens out your mesh, and you don't want the flattened out mesh look. You want to keep your mesh fluffy. So make sure it's snugly secure, but not sinking down into your mesh or pushing your mesh down too much. I'm feeding my pipe cleaner down through the mesh and attaching it to the wire frame. Don't want a lot of movement with your frame, with your signs. So like I said, snug and secured, but not flattening your whole wreath. I'm liking that little spin. It's not perfectly centered. At a little bit of an angle. I like that look. Like how it looks with the mesh and ribbon behind it as well. Now the same thing with your bow. So these are the little 3M squares, sticky squares that I attach on the back of my sign. Now pull that off and it's sticky. However, I use a little bit of super glue, just a dab right in the center of my sign, and then I place this on my sign. And your pipe cleaner feeds right through. I do give it time to dry, as you want to make sure you have a good seal and something isn't going to fall off. Again, my name is Brandy, on a whim by Bee. I am from Pinedale, Wyoming. Let me know where you're watching from. Right here, I'm just cleaning up my tails a little bit. I felt like one was a little long, so I was giving it a little trim. Take those pipe cleaner. You're going to feed it through your mesh again. And again, you want a snug, secure fit, but you do not want it pushing your mesh down. So don't pull your bow into your wreath unless that's the look that you want. I will move the view here in a moment so that you can see the wreath as I'm doing it. I'm just eyeballing, making sure I have the position where I want it. Sometimes I have to put it in a hanging position to see that. Here we go. There. I do like the look of that. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. If you don't feel like you can make one of these and want to purchase a wreath, please check out my Etsy shop. If you feel you can make one of these, good luck. Pick the colors that work for you. It doesn't have to be an exact replica of mine. This could be so many different designs, an everyday design with a different sign, different ribbon. Let your imagination go. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave a comment below and let me know what I can design for you or what you would like to see me working on. Have a good day. Thanks. I hope to see you again soon.